Hello my quilting friends! Leah Day here with a new Quill Tea Box video. Every month I challenge myself to use the materials that come in my Quill Tea Box to make something cool. So let's check out the box and see what came this month for January. So just in case you've never heard of Quill Tea Box, it's basically a box of fun gear that comes every single month for a subscription fee of between $40 to $50. And every month it's put together by a different person or company. And this month, Paper Pieces, the paper piecing company at paperpiece.com, put all of these materials together. They selected some really fun things for us. So the first thing we've got is Stars at Night. It is this little template and paper pieces. These are little cutout pieces of paper that we can easily use to do some hand English style paper piecing. It can really create some very unique quilts. Unfortunately, it's also pretty time consuming, so I'm hoping that there's something else in this box to make it a little faster. So we've got some beautiful fabric here. This is Textured Solids by Kathy Hall. And they're very textury. You can really feel the texture on the surface of the fabric. That's kind of cool. We've got Little House on the Prairie fabric, another fabric from Kathy Hall. They're very small prints, which is kind of important because these paper pieces are really, really tiny. But you know, something like that green is such a tiny print, it will really work with those tiny pieces. I really like that blue too, that's very pretty. Okay, now we've got, this looks like I think this is like a fabric organizer. So I'm pretty sure that you take this and you're able to wrap your fat quarter around it to organize it. That's kind of neat. I'm always needing new methods of organizing my fat quarters. And then here is the book that's included this month. It's called All Dolled Up. And I flipped through it. I'm so excited. It actually does make English paper piecing a little faster because it's tiny projects. So I guess that makes it faster. This is the project that they kind of planned out for us this month. So you could take the kit that comes, the little paper piecing template and these little pieces, and the fabric and make up this cute little quilt. And the reason it's fast is because it's very tiny. I mean, that's going to be a very, very small little doll quilt. And I think that's super cute. I'm not quite sure that this is really what I'm feeling like doing this month. So I'm going to take a minute, play with my paper pieces, just see what I feel like doing. And I'll meet you back here when I've figured out what I'm going to do for my Quill Tea Box challenge. So I've decided to give a little bit of paper piecing a try. And I'm going to cut up one of these squares of fabric to create some paper pieces. So what you do is just lay this out and leave about 1/4 of an inch to either side. So you can just put your rotary ruler on top and see through it, and make sure that you're leaving at least 1/4 of an inch on both sides of the shape. And I'm just going to cut this straight through and kind of keep in mind, it looks like it's cutting at about 1.5 inches, maybe a little bit bigger. So I'll just cut all of the strips 1.5 inches, and that should be plenty. Maybe a little bit bigger, 1 5/8 inches. So there's very minimal waste with these little charm pack squares. And then now I'll take my little template and lay it out and be able to cut out these diamond shapes just exactly right. Now I can cut with both hands, but if this feels awkward to you, definitely flip it around however you need to. Like you could just turn it around and cut from this angle too. So you'll notice my ruler wiggled a little bit when I cut it, but it really doesn't matter. And you can even leave the little pinking edge on the side of your shape because the seam allowance really doesn't matter in this situation. What we're going to do is take that little paper piece and place it in the center of the shape and pin it so it's secure. And then we're going to take the seam allowance and start folding it over. And you just use your fingers and kind of feel the edge of the paper, kind of give it a little finger crease. And I like to just run my fingers over it a few times and then grab a needle and thread and you're just going to baste it down. So nice big stitches. I was doing maybe 2 stitches per side is more than enough. And I chose a gray thread that unfortunately shows, kind of blends in a little bit, but they're really big chunky stitches. Like I'm already ready to turn this corner. So I'm just going to turn the corner and do the same thing, just finger creasing, feeling that edge of the paper and firmly finger creasing the fabric over. And then I'll take my next stitch. Nice big stitches here. You don't want to take too much time when it comes to basting because this is only, one part of the process. We've also got to put these pieces together too. Now usually at this point I get 2 edges in. I just go ahead and take my pin out because it can be in my way. And now I'm going to fold over this edge. And it was interesting, I was reading in the book, you can leave these little flappy bits out, just like this, when all of the pieces are going to be pieced with other things next to them. If you're going to use it as an applique, of course you'll want to kind of fold that in and be a little bit more meticulous about hiding it if you're going to be turning this into an applique instead. I think I'm going to actually piece at least 6 of these into a little star. So that's held in place. Now 2 big stitches down the side. I did a lot of paper piecing back in 2000, I think that was 2013, and these tiny, tiny little hexagons. I mean, they were itsy bitsy. I think they were like 3/8 of an inch in diameter. They were just so, so tiny. They came out great though, and I used them to make the face of a goddess in a goddess quilt. So it was really, really cool, but definitely time consuming. It was a slow handwork project like all summer long. There we go. So now I'm finishing up, coming to the end. I'm just going to take one more stitch, make sure that that corner is nice and secure. And again, you're going to have these 2 little flappy bits. Kind of looks like a crab. It's kind of funny, but these edges will be hidden. They will be covered up whenever you piece this with other things. So now I'm just going to tie an overhand knot, and that will hold everything nicely in place. And you can just wash and repeat this with as many pieces as you want to make. And the cool thing about this, I've got to say, yes, it is time consuming. However, this is such a handy little handwork project. You can bring just a small little rotary cutting mat or just a pair of scissors to cut out the shapes from your fabric. The paper pieces don't take up any extra space. And then you can set and just make them and put them together. So this is how half of the star would look. Now to put them together, here's what you do. You figure out your placement, and I kind of want those 2 to go just like that. And now you're going to hold them together and whip stitch them in place. So I'm holding these right sides together, and I'm just going to insert my needle into the green and pull it up right at the tip. And now a whip stitch, I'm just coming down from the top through the purple and through the green at the same time, right across the top, and pulling my thread through, making sure it's just running. Yeah, see, I'm catching the fabric right there. Just pulling right through, okay? And I'm just going to make tiny little stitches. Now, I tend to have very tiny stitches because I did beadwork for years, and so my idea of a tiny stitch is the size of a seed bead. I know not everyone has stitches that are that tiny, or you even need to make stitches that are that tiny. So I'm trying to make these just a little bit bigger. The book said to do stitches about 6 to 10 per inch, and this is an inch long diamond. So I'm aiming for 6 stitches from corner to corner. So again, I'm inserting my needle and making sure to go through both the purple and the green. My thread's a little long. That's something that you want to kind of watch out for. As you get more practice, you can work with a longer thread, but I'm finding it's tangling up on me quite a bit. Okay. And you'll know if you accidentally pierce through the paper. You'll feel the resistance of the paper, and it really doesn't matter if you take a chunk out of it, but it can be a little bit more challenging when you go to take the paper out. When you have the pieces basically all stitched up all the way around, then you can take the paper pieces out and use them again. So here I'm on the corner. I'm going to make 2 stitches here in the corner. And then open it up. And you can see just how pretty that is. If you see your stitches, give this a tug, tighten it up a little bit. So then you can start playing with connecting your diamond shapes together and figuring out speedy ways of doing it. The thing that I like to do the most is minimize my thread breaks. So for here, I'm starting to connect together 3 diamond shapes. I would start right here and whip stitch connecting these 2 diamonds together. I'd get down to the tip and go on ahead and connect the 3rd diamond, stitching right across. And so it would be only 1 thread break to do 2 seams. That's really efficient. So that's what I did with both of these. I stitched both halves, and then you could then take 1 seam to stitch right down the middle to create a little star. And here's what this looks like in purple. It's really cute. This was really, really cute fabric. And the trick with being able to take the paper out, every single piece, all the edges of a piece have to be surrounded by other pieces in order to take the paper out. And here's what it looks like when you do that. So here I've got that same star shape in the middle, and I've started expanding it with this orange fabric. And so all of the edges of that center star are stitched against. You know, you can see all of the edges are connected to something else so that I can take those stitches out. So what I'm going to do is just pull on some of my basting stitches. I'm going to pull on one of the knots and clip it off. I'll find my other knot. And here's a tip. When you're basting, come up with an efficient method. Either have all of your knots on the top or all of your knots on the back, so that way you always know where they're at. I like all of the knots on top because then I don't get confused what is a knot for my basting stitches and what is a knot for my real whip stitches. So if they're always on top, then you know you can just clip everything on the surface. So here I'm just picking out that stitching, the basting. This is why we didn't want the basting to be super tiny or delicate. You know, we wanted these to be big chunky stitches so that way they would come out. So this is the piece I just removed. I'm just going to get in here and pull out the paper. And yes, there will be holes in the paper after you stitch through it, but it still feels very firm. It doesn't feel wobbly. The edge is still nice and sharp. So I know for a fact that I could still use this. I can put this back in the bag and use it to baste another little piece. So that's how you take the paper out, and you can see it will definitely make your quilt feel softer, and you'll be able to get a better idea of what it's going to look like. This little project, what I've decided to do is create a cute little rainbow star. I'm going to keep expanding it until it has all the colors of the rainbow. But I am not going to finish this for this video. It's just paper piecing is a time-consuming thing that I want to be able to take my time and enjoy it. I just really hope that this inspired you to give English paper piecing a try and see if it works for you. So that's it for this Quill Tea Box video. I challenged myself to make something with English paper piecing, even though it's a little time consuming, and now I'm gonna have a fun project to work on for the rest of the year. This is gonna be my travel project. Anytime that Josh and I are hitting the road, going somewhere, I'll have all of the materials that I need. I'll keep them all organized in a Ziploc baggie. I just put them all in a gallon-sized bag, and that way I can grab that bag, throw it in the car, and I have everything I need. So it's a really great handwork project. You don't have to bring a machine. You don't even have to have a rotary cutter and mat. You can cut the pieces with scissors, and it's very easy. It's very relaxing to stitch this way, and you end up with absolutely perfectly pieced units because you can see what you're creating as you go. So I definitely encourage you to give English paper piecing a try and have a lot of fun with this cool Quill Tea Box project. If you'd like to join Quill Tea Box and get an awesome box of fun gear every single month, definitely subscribe to Quill Tea Box at quiltybox.com. Until next time, let's go quilt.